How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back to yet another review. A little bit of green bottled, Jersey-born, mixed fermentation, hopeful, yeasty, barrel-aged goodness. A whole bunch of stuff going on in the form of Kelly Green Brewing. It is their 18th Street. Kelly Green. Never had anything from them before. They are from Jersey, but they're kind of like south, a bit south, about 3 hours, give or take, south of me, so not something super close to where I'm living at now in Jersey, but actually Ed, the guy who actually curates the kind of barrel, I was going to say society, what did I say that? Barrel program down there at Kelly Green. He kind of wrote me, he's like, hey man, love to throw you some bottles. See what you think. I received them in the mail, and I am going to drink them. It's called science, everybody. What does it say on here? This is kind of like it's like a saison, kind of almost seems like a saison de goza kind of thing going on. Because what we have here, Kelly Green Brewing Company Small Batch Series, 18th Street. They're from Pittman, New Jersey. On the side here, it says a saison fermented and aged in oak barrels. Fair enough. With our house mix culture, sure, brewed with limes and pink Himalayan sea salt. So almost like a goza margarita kind of thing going on, maybe. 6% alcohol by volume, done and done. I mean, you're looking at your traditional kind of green funky bottle. No cork, just a cap on her. And I kind of dig the artwork. A little kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. A little kind of South Parky. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's almost like I forget what they call that kind of artwork. But anyway, I dig it. I lack the vocabulary to explain why. That happens sometimes. So yeah, give this a pour, see what she's got. Assuming getting a decent amount of fruit, a bit of tartness. We'll see how far that that salt plays in things and how that lime kind of goes. But I mean, you look at that. That looks like a hazy IPA to me. That looks like a big, rich, single, double hazy New England style IPA, more than kind of a mixed fermentation kind of sour. But those can lean in that direction too. So it's not entirely out of realm of possibility. What we have here, index finger, like deliciously creamy top to it. It's actually way creamier than I expect from something that is a bit, I keep leaning towards the word funky. I haven't even smelled it or tasted it, but I am assuming that much, being that it's mixed house culture with a bit of oaking going on and stuff like that. But the green bottle makes you think that also. Anyway, dissipating, not relatively quick. Could be kind of knocking down there, and left behind is kind of almost like peach juice kind of color. So yeah, she looks saison-y, a bit hazier than what we were used to, but see what the nose has. Yeah, nice, rich, like power of suggestion. I'm almost getting like peach skinniness off of this. Peach skins, that zesty, sweet, bright, citrusy lime from this. There's like a rich, acidic funkiness to it. Nothing too over the top. It's definitely bigger than your typical kind of kettle sour, but it doesn't seem like it's going to get over the top like enamel ripping acidic. But yeah, bright, rich, stone fruit, skinny kind of vibes off of it. That nice punch, that zesty, sweetened kind of lime zestiness, and it's that underlying kind of light, not over the top kind of funkiness. It smells pretty damn nice, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's dive in. Cheers. Okay. That's good. But there's something at the end. What is that? It's almost like a hop burn to it. Like this was aggressively dry hopped. So let's start from the beginning. Bright, punchy acidity up front. Definitely giving me those kind of nice, skinny, peachy, skinny, stone fruity, skinny kind of vibes to it. Then you kind of get in that soft lime character. I thought it was going to be a bit bigger based on what I got off the nose, but it's not that gigantic. Just a nice, refreshing kind of almost like light zestiness to it from that lime. The Himalayan sea salt thing, there's a minerality to it, kind of verging in salinity, but it's not over the top. So it's not like a goza kind of thing, but it adds this kind of extra character to kind of the water. It's almost like the water's been treated with like an extra kind of mineral component. And then you have this underlying funkiness throughout the whole thing. It's not over the top. There is a decent amount of acidity to it, but it's not like, again, I just ate heartburn-inducing stuff right before I did this review, and this is not sending me over the edge. So while I am getting a nice subtle acid component, it's enough to let me know it's a hefty, not hefty, a for reals, let's go that way, sour, but it's not getting too far out there to kind of just make me want to keel over in the fetal position. Then it ends with that huge kind of biting, bittering component. I think it's hops. I think it's some kind of like aggressive dry hopping at the end. It could be an oak thing. I doubt it. Typically, we were talking about kind of aging these in wine barrels. They did wine barrels, right? Or they just said oak barrels. You know, anytime I see these bigger green bottles and I see kind of oak barrels, I think of just base oak or more, you know, fooders or more specifically puncheons. But you're just getting a nice soft oak. It doesn't carry a lot of vanilla with it, but just a touch there. And then you get that biting kind of bittering thing in the end. It's almost like the hops are coming off a little tomato green stocky, as opposed to, just thinking of something right now, as opposed to just a big biting bittering. I'm trying to think maybe if it's a light struck thing, but it's not skunky. It's more like maybe they put a bunch of hops in here and kind of going for the whole light struck thing with the green bottle. But it just has that rather unique, because you typically don't get that in these bigger kind of funky green bottle based beers. It's just this big, piney, slightly tomato stocky kind of bittering thing in the back end. I find it fun. I think it maybe jostles the beer out of a comfort zone for a lot of people when they get into the kind of beers like this. This kind of flavor profile with that soft kind of peat skinniness, there's a nice oakiness in there, a bit of lime zestiness. It's a lot of bright, a lot of welcoming, a lot of white light colors, whereas that bittering is a bit more dirty, a little bit more jarring, so it kind of knocks you out of that comfort zone you typically get into, at least I do, for a lot of these kind of green bottle beers. But I like that juxtaposition. I like that kind of change there. I'm kind of curious to what's in it besides what they label on here and what's giving me that big bite on the end. But all in all, it's pretty tasty stuff. I like it, man. I think it's pretty damn tasty. I mean, probably one of the better sour beers I've had from in Jersey in general. No, that's not a long list. You have your Cape Mays, your Referens of the world. There's some people that do these kind of OG style sours. So there's not a long list, but it's really well done. It's really tasty and a really good introduction to a brewery. You know, somebody kind of sends you beer like this, especially like this. You know, I don't say anything. I go, thank you and you're welcome. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I not that I want to poop on stuff, but if it tastes like shit, I'm going to poop on it. You kind of want it to be nice, but you don't know anything about the brewery until you actually go into it. Sure, it could do research, but that's just not me. So, you know, to open it up and get this kind of flavor profile out of it is kind of fun. It's weird because it's almost like a hazy IPA base, but with a mixed culture, and then an added portion of that lime and that sea salt, but then that's kind of how it's landing for me, and I think that's a fun thing. I think that's a cool take. It's not a double IPA. I'm not trying to say it's like a big hazy double IPA, but it has a lot of similarities as far as how the beer is cultivated and built, and I think it works well. Sure, that little bit of biting bitterness and greenness, tomato stockiness, whatever you want to call it on the end, might not be everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I like it. I like that kind of that balance, that back and forth between that, you know, traditional style kind of green bottle funkiness and that little bit of bittering. I dig it. I think it's fun and it's tasty stuff. Let's talk about it. It's one of the better sour beers that I've had as of late. It's definitely not out of the conversation. I've had much better. I like mine to skew a little bit more kind of OG traditional in the kind of, you know, typical lambic Cantillon side of things. But all in all, as far as a funky beer with a nice personality to it, and that's probably the thing I didn't talk about enough. It has its own personality. It tastes unique in a good way. It's not weird for the sake of being weird or funky, trying to be funky. It's a well-made, tasty beer that showcases a lot of bits and pieces. It does that with Spades. That in of itself is pretty damn good stuff. Value and availability, no idea. Like I said, actually, you know what? I do have an idea, because I'm pretty sure this is like 16 to 18 bucks a bottle. $7.50 barrel-aged beer. Funky stuff. That's kind of your market value for these things nowadays. Brewery only, I think. And leave you with, if you like what, will you like this beer? If you like sour green bottle beers, if you like your Cantillons, Fantômes, your, those kind of breweries, your Three Fontaines, Dre Fontaine, whatever you want to call it before people freak out about mispronouncing stuff. I'm not saying this is up there with that, but it gives you bits and pieces of that world while retaining its own personality. I think that's the point when it comes to a lot of beer. So yeah, the way it kind of shows the fruit, the way it has that kind of cool like bittering bite in the back end, I'm a fan. I dig it. Can't wait to dive in the other ones. Let's put it that way. Thank you very much, Ed. Appreciate you sending this off in the other ones. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the podcasting stuff, or the social media stuff. The podcasting stuff is Beer Massive. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little Jersey-born funky beer right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.